Hello, I don't know about you, but one of my favourite types of videos to watch online are people explaining game mechanics. I always wanted to do them myself, but I never had the opportunity to find a game mechanic that I knew enough about to warrant a video on. When I discovered Jujutsu Shenanigans when it first came out, I loved how the domain expansions worked, as it was nothing like any other game at the time. And recently, I was lucky enough to get into contact with Z, the creator of Jujutsu Shenanigans, and I was able to ask him about how domain expansions actually work on a fundamental level. I asked him if I could make a video on the mechanics that he had told me, and he gave me the go-ahead, so here we are. But let's start with how you actually get to a domain expansion in the first place. Every domain expansion requires the player to be in their ultimate mode, and as of right now there are only 5 domain expansions in the game, 4 of which are closed barrier and 1 that is... How would you actually describe Megami's domain expansion? One special domain. When you activate domain expansion, there is a short delay before a spherical barrier spawns around you. There is technically domain clashing in the game, but it only applies when 2 people cast their domain at the exact same time, and if they do, it will be random as to whose domain is selected to be casted. Then within this barrier, it spawns a teleporter, which brings you to what is known as the domain container. Once you interact with this teleporter, you'll actually be able to see the inside of a domain. What I mean by this is if you go in the private server and you actually view how close the domain expansion is to the map, it is in view, but if you try and look at a domain expansion from the map, you can't see it. This is because you need to interact with the domain's teleporter itself before you can actually see the domain. The teleporter inside of the domain is always active, and you can use certain moves and methods to clip inside of the domain and invade it. You can invade the domain yourself by using certain moves, such as Nue's variant on Megami and the Body Repel variant on Mahito. Additionally, if you're not playing as any of these characters, you can use emotes such as Bow or Garbage by utilizing shift lock and turning 180 degrees in order to instantly clip inside of the domain. Alternatively, if you really want to, you can utilize certain moves to push other people inside of domains. There are a multitude of ways to do this, and I'll have a link to the Jujutsu Shenanigans Wiki page if you want to see some of these. And just be careful if you decide to enter a domain yourself, as once you enter a domain and enter the domain container, there is zero way to escape from it. There is a system in Jujutsu Shenanigans that detects if you try and escape a domain without the domain breaking, and will automatically keep you inside. Whether it be cheats or even private server commands, there is zero way to escape from a domain unless you get the help from a Megami player. But of course, domains aren't unbreakable, and this does lead into the topic of how you can damage them and how their health system works overall. All of the domains have a set amount of health, and all of them are the same except for Hikari's. Gojo, Sukuna and Mahito have their domains at 100 HP, whereas Hikari has 300. But the amount of time a domain is casted for isn't entirely dictated by its health. You may have noticed from your time playing that Sukuna's domain lasts a little bit longer than Gojo's or Mahito's, despite having the exact same amount of HP. The way the health of a domain drains over time is actually based on its duration. The way the math works is you would take the maximum health of a domain and divide it by the amount of time it's casted for. To explain this better, let's use Gojo's as an example. Gojo's domain, Unlimited Void, lasts for around 14 seconds. You would then take the amount of HP of the domain, 100, and divide it by 14. This results in a number with a very long decimal point, but around 7.14, meaning Gojo's domain takes around 7 damage per second. And this math can be applied to all domains. Mahito's has the exact same amount of health drain as Gojo's, so the number is the same. Sukuna's domain, Malevolent Shrine, lasts a little bit longer, at around 19 seconds, so doing the same math as before, 100 divided by 19, it equates to 5.26. And once again with Hikari's domain, you take the full 300 and divide it by the amount of time his domain is up for, being 120 seconds. This leaves you with Hikari's domain taking 2.5 damage per second. And of course, Megami's domain is completely different, as it doesn't have its own health pool, instead deriving from your own, dealing about 10 damage per second, meaning you can only hold it for about 10 seconds before you're left at 1 HP. When a domain is almost out of HP at around 15 and 5% health respectively, it'll begin to crack from the outside. By this point, the domain is almost out of HP and any attack will probably break it. From the inside and the outside, you may hear an audible bang anytime an attack connects with the domain. Attacks like the first 3 M1s of most characters do not produce an audible bang, and this means the domain is taking no damage. every attack in the game has its own custom amount of damage that it can do to a domain. Z did not share this information, as I believe he changes damage numbers quite frequently, but there are a multitude of moves in the game which do a high amount of damage to domains. Most ult moves in the game, such as Hollow Purple or World Cutting Slash, can typically break most domains within one hit, or at least get them very low. But to end this video off, why don't we go through some fun facts regarding each of the domains, as some of them have unique gimmicks and quirks to them. As Maharaga, if you use Adaptation in Unlimited Void, it will not count as a buff against domain damage. The only one in the game right now that does is Sukuna's. If you adapt to Unlimited Void, it will provide you absolutely zero buffs. The highest damage move in the game is actually Mahito's domain, as it deals 5,000 damage per second once the bar next to your avatar depletes. I spun 50 scenarios in Hikari's jackpot using reserve balls only. I then reset after I got a jackpot every time, as I didn't want to boost my luck with the domain, as that is one of the effects of it. I found out that out of 50 of the spins, 12 of them gave you a jackpot, giving you about a 24% chance every time you use a scenario to give you a jackpot. Out of the 12 wins, 6 of them were in the transit scenario and 6 of them were in the emergency scenario. Now this is where you should maybe not exactly take what I'm saying as a fact, as the sample size is very small, and funnily enough there was an exactly equal split between how many emergency and transit scenarios there were. My data would suggest that you have an exactly equal amount of chance to get a jackpot whether you get the transit or the emergency scenario, but I'm pretty sure that isn't the case, so don't exactly take that as a fact. My data would also suggest that there is an equal chance to get either the transit or the emergency scenario, and I don't exactly know if one of them is more rare or not. And finally, if you go up to any of the domains in the game and you use Megami's domain, you will quickly realize how it is absolutely the worst move in the game.